Greetings on behalf of Accessible Fellowship. I am Peter Albright, the Bible study facilitator for our group. We study online on Sunday mornings using MennoMedia's Salt and Light curriculum. The author of our curriculum is Oshita Moore, who is a published author. Her most recent book is Dear White Peacemakers. Last week, we studied the implications of Sarah's laughter in response to the promise that she would have a child in her old age. This week, lesson number 2 is Hagar's legacy, seeing the invisible, loving the forgotten. Our scriptures are taken from Genesis chapters 16 and 21, and the purpose is to explore Hagar's story as a testament to God's commitment to those pushed to society's margins, and to recognize her legacy as a source of strength and hope for those who feel unseen. Let's do a quick review of the background scriptures. In Genesis 16, we learn that Abraham, at his wife's insistence, impregnated her servant Hagar. When she learned that she was pregnant, Hagar disrespected her mistress Sarai. In response, Sarai mistreated her, and Hagar fled. The Lord's angel sent her back to camp, promising that her son will live to be, it almost sounds like, her avenger. In Genesis 17, God affirmed his previous promise to Abram. He changed Abram's name to Abraham and Sarai's name to Sarah. All of the males in the camp were circumcised. In Genesis 18, we see the promise reiterated, and Sarah laughed. The rest of chapters 18, 19, and 20 give us the stories of Abraham's relationship to his neighbors. In Genesis 21, 1 through 7, Isaac is born, and Sarah laughs again. Our text for today is Genesis chapter 1, specifically verses 8 through 21, which I would like to read. The boy Isaac grew and stopped nursing. On the day he stopped nursing, Abraham prepared a huge banquet. Sarah saw Hagar's son laughing, the one Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham. So she said to Abraham, "Send this servant away with her son. This servant's son won't share the inheritance with my son Isaac." This upset Abraham terribly, because the boy was his son. God said to Abraham, "Don't be upset about the boy and your servant. Do everything Sarah tells you to do, because your descendants will be traced through Isaac. But I will make of your servant's son a great nation also, because he is also your descendant." Abraham got up early in the morning, took some bread and a flask of water, and gave it to Hagar. He put the boy in her shoulder sling and sent her away. She left and wandered through the desert near Beersheba. Finally, the water in the flask ran out, and she put the boy down under one of the desert shrubs. She walked away from him about as far as a bow shot and sat down, telling herself, "I can't bear to see the boy die." She sat at a distance, cried out in grief, and wept. God heard the boy's cries, and God's messenger called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "Hagar, what's wrong? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy's cries over there. Get up, pick up the boy, and take him by the hand, because I will make of him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well. She went over, filled the water flask, and gave the boy a drink. God remained with the boy. He grew up, lived in the desert, and became an expert archer. He lived in the Paran desert, and his mother found him an Egyptian wife. Genesis chapter 22 tells us the well-loved story about God providing a substitute ram for Isaac. I'd like to tell you a story of Dr. Larecia Hawkins and Wheaton College. Now, Wheaton College was founded in 1860 by Jonathan Blanchard, who was a staunch abolitionist. In fact, the administration building was used as a way station for the Underground Railroad. Alumni of Wheaton College include Billy Graham. It has a diverse student body. People come from all over the country and all over the world. That makes it possible for Wheaton to have a great soccer team. But most importantly, it has very rigorous academic standards. I myself entered Wheaton College in 1970 as a freshman. I was confronted with the possibility of being asked to leave because of my reservation about an ROTC requirement. But in 1974, I did graduate. I received an excellent education in spite of not being perhaps the best student. In spite of stagflation, then everything seemed okay. I had graduated. The issues of peace and justice seemed to be improving. The Vietnam War was ending. Race relations across the country and around the world seemed to be improving. Fast forward about 40 years to Wheaton College in December of 2015. One, Dr. Larecia Hawkins, was teaching political science. She was the first black female professor to be granted tenure at Wheaton College. Wheaton College, the college founded 160 years ago by abolitionists. Just before Christmas of that year, one of her students approached Dr. Hawkins. The student was expressing concern about growing Islamophobia in the United States and asked Dr. Hawkins about wearing a hijab in public to demonstrate solidarity with the Muslims. Dr. Hawkins thought that this was a wonderful idea. Such a good idea that she posted on Facebook that she would wear a hijab in embodied solidarity with Muslim women, her words. She mentioned in passing that Christians and Muslims all worship the same God. Within a few days, her world was turned upside down. She was suspended from teaching, her faith was questioned, and soon she was apparently strongly encouraged to resign, which she did. Her plight triggered strong reactions in both directions. Students were supportive and demonstrated their support for her on chapel steps and around campus. Many alumni and financial supporters were not supportive. Dr. Hawkins refused to recant, and she was not reinstated. In February of 2016, Dr. Hawkins and Wheaton College parted ways. Later, some of the administration people apologized for lack of due process. The whole event triggered extensive conversation among evangelical Christians and revealed a very significant rift among those Christians. Personally, when I heard about it, I was disappointed with my alma mater. You can learn about this, if you're interested, by watching a documentary film entitled Same God, which is available for rent or purchase. I watched it yesterday. Watching that film reinforced my disappointment of 10 years ago. My intention, watching the film and preparing this video, was to broach some rabbit path discussion about the relationship between the God worshipped by Christians and the God worshipped by Muslims. There's a strong case that that is true. After all, Muslims claim Muhammad is descended from Ishmael, the son of Abraham. After working on my notes for a while, I trudged on my treadmill for a while, taking a break from my desk, and while I was trudging, I listened to a podcast discussion between Russell Moore and Ray Ortland. Russell Moore is editor-in-chief of Christianity Today magazine. a position he took after serving for some time as president of Southern Baptist Convention's Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. It seems that his separation from the Southern Baptist Convention was painful. Ray Ortlund Jr. is a renowned scholar and theologian. He's president of Renewal Ministries, which was founded by his father, and he is canon theologian of the Anglican Church in North America. Coincidentally, he graduated from Wheaton College a few years before I did. Dr. Ortlund has stood against racism for years, and he was brutally castigated by some of his conservative peers for endorsing Kamala Harris for president. Although both of these gentlemen are probably more conservative than I, in at least a few areas, I admire their stands against injustice and tyranny. More importantly for our discussion here, their discussion reminded me of the real point of this lesson, how God steps in to comfort all of us in our times of deepest despair. God makes it clear that this was the case for Hagar and Ishmael. Dr. Hawkins said as much. Dr. Moore said as much. Dr. Ortlund said as much. I know that God did for me in my darkest hour. But in the very next breath, I feel compelled to point out that Russell Moore, Raymond Ortlund, and Peter Albright all enjoy some privileges not shared by either Hagar or Larissa Hawkins. It is appropriate, it's good, for the privileged to acknowledge and appreciate the salvation of our God who sees us and walks beside us in the valley of the shadow of death. He gives the gift of helping us to grow in our faith. He gives us the gift of learning to trust Him better. Having experienced that, how important is it for us to come up alongside those who are in danger of foundering in the midst of life's challenges and who do not have those privileged resources? Do not ever forget that God Himself may be asking you to be the servant to His oppressed children. Encourage and pray for them, of course, and offer concrete help. Please join me this week in praying that God will open our eyes to the deepest needs of those around us, the ones struggling in darkness and despair, regardless of their standing in society. And go in peace.